Hey everybody, I wanted to just offer some just free training, free ideas for videos for my email list only. So you are the only guys who are going to see these videos, so thank you for being here, and thank you for watching. I want to talk today about learning to flip the script. You heard about flipping the switch? It's kind of like that. I remember when I was working for a Chamber of Commerce in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was a temporary position. They eventually would offer me a permanent position, but it wasn't where I wanted to be at the moment. And I found a wonderful group of people there, and I worked in the front of the office where the receptionist was, and I was not the receptionist. I would pinch hit for her, but I was doing some other projects, but I was up in the front, and I would be a greeter, of course, if our wonderful receptionist was not around. And we had many people at night that did not have homes, and they would live downtown in Tulsa, Oklahoma on the streets. And one of the guys came in during the day. It was really cold out, and we would let people come into our lobby and warm up. It was so cold, and like one of those bitter cold days. And one of the guys came in and stood before me and said, you know, some kind of whacked out things, not anything violent, but very whacked out things. And I just engaged him in conversations, and I paid attention, and I didn't divert my eyes off him. He said such whacked out things to me, like not fantasy, but I mean, like an event that happened that really didn't, between the two of us, where he rescued me. And that's what he was having a flashback to. And so I engaged him in that conversation, and then he had almost like a sixth sense that people were probably going to call the police. But he was in no way violent, but I was trying to calm him down and just engage him in conversation and not have anything escalate. So that's pretty much what I'm going to discuss here today. When you're working in any kind of business, it's not just relegated to law firms. You have opportunities to diffuse a situation. You have opportunities to, when somebody is feeling really stressed out because a lot is on the line, maybe there's a lot riding on a case that for this attorney, for your attorney, and maybe they don't feel successful, and so they're putting all their eggs in this basket that they win this case. And so there might be several people that are keyed up, and you can diffuse that situation. You can offer to make some coffee or other type of foods to bring in maybe for breakfast during that time, and make sure people are eating. You can offer to go pick it up and run errands like that, things you might not see yourself doing as a paralegal, but I've done it all. I've made breakfast in the basement of one office at a little makeshift kitchen, and it created a team effort. I had another instance when somebody walked in my office, a coworker, and didn't know this lady well at all, but she decided to she asked me a question, and then she started screaming. Now, why am I smiling about that? Because it was so off kilter and so uncalled for. None of that is ever called for. That I just I easily stood up and I said, let's go for a walk. And she said, where are we going? And not to intimidate her, but to just talk. And what I told her in a nice tone of voice was, don't scream at me. I'll gladly talk with you, but there'll be no screaming in this office, and there was no harsh tone of voice at all. I was trying to flip the switch there. Now that was a definite, switch to flip in that particular person. So let's talk about some other things and flipping the switch. Sometimes the most important thing you can exude is compassion when there's a lot of anger going on and contention. Okay, when the guy that, this guy came into the Chamber of Commerce, normally he probably got chased out of places, but instead I was engaging him in conversation. I didn't know what he was up to. I think he was just almost hallucinating. And so, but his sixth sense told him that people were probably going to have the police there shortly, and he left. And he didn't return either. So doing the opposite of what is expected, if somebody, just as, a woman came into my office when I took the place of her best friend in an office, and came in and told me that I will never be a paralegal, I will never be successful. And I went into her office to let her speak. And then I went into her office and I asked if I could talk with her. And I sat down and I said, look, and I told her what my experience level was, and that I know how to work hard, and that I was fairly new to the field, but I had also worked a lot of trials. So I was new to that area of law, and I intended to learn it the best I knew how. So just standing up but not doing it a contentious way really worked to not have her so angry at me because of what happened to her best friend. That was definitely setting boundaries for me, that I'm not going to allow you to keep coming in my office and yelling and all that, or being disparaging. I'm going to nip it in the bud, and I'm going to come in and ask to talk with you. If she said no, I would have not talked with her, but I wouldn't have allowed the continuation of her coming in and disturbing me. So exude that love instead of fear, even if you don't feel love towards that person. I mean, most of us, some of us know our coworkers and a lot of us don't. And it behooves us to get to know them a little bit better and remove some of those walls. I've watched coworkers act very disparaging towards me, and one of them ended up getting fired, not because of that, but her cohort at the law firm decided she'd better not continue this behavior because things were not looking too good for her at this point, and it would be better if she had a lot of allies on her side. And I was more than glad to be her ally, because she was a good hard worker, been there for a lot of years, and she didn't want to be let go. So let's talk about, I'm going to read you a verse out of Matthew, and this is going to be Matthew 5:43-47. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that? So that is in Matthew 5:43-47. So it doesn't take a lot of effort to just continue to hang out with people who get you and treat you well. It's that person over there that is alone, who doesn't feel like part of the group, and people have ostracized. Maybe good reason. Maybe that they've been nasty, but where's that all coming from? Extend an olive branch out and see if you can, not necessarily, maybe that person doesn't want to be this incredible team member, but that there'll be peace and harmony in the workplace. And that's what I wanted. In 1 John 4:18, it says, perfect love casts out fear. And a lot of people who are rude or angry are fearful inside, and it's coming out in this way as being very, very ugly. All right, so let's go one more piece here. You know what, this is what I have felt. There are plenty of people that when somebody's being rude to you, that will be around you going, well, don't hang out with that, don't go near that person, just stay away from her. I mean, or him, this is what I'm talking about, you know, really regarding a coworker. Don't go, just stay away from them. Well, that doesn't necessarily solve the problem. And with this lady, I wanted her to know, the one who was screaming at me, I wanted her to know, and I had an attorney do that as well. And I met with him privately too, and he apologized, and that curbed that behavior for both of them. I didn't become that lady's best friend. In fact, you know, there were other things going on in the life where she had to leave the law firm, and it had nothing to do with anybody there. So the attorney needed to apologize, but I wanted to put him not on notice as much as just saying, I really don't want to take this anymore. I don't want to come into work listening to this anymore. But I did it in a very calm voice, no yelling, no screaming, no contentiousness coming out of me, and staying very, very calm. So here's what people usually say, that this is a big problem, stay away from it, most people can't solve this, so don't bother with this person. So if no one has helped that person or overcome this problem, why should I bother with it? And you know, it could be a simple act of kindness out of your mouth. Good morning, how are you? And it could be stopping by the office, hey, just saying hello, you know, to that person without stopping. Just say, hey, and just keep going. They might not trust you at first, but then will rely on you saying that every day, and maybe wait, if you don't say it because you're out sick and you come back in, they may come up to you and say, I missed you saying hello yesterday. And here's how successful people speak. There's a problem. How do I work to solve it? Who do I know could help me with this? I will not allow what I can't control me. So, you know, if this lady, either one of the ladies that were acting, you know, nasty to me, just kept doing that, or then I would have to go higher up. But I was trying to just solve it on my own without any anger coming out, so that nobody could say I'm making threats. I was just saying, let's basically, you know, get along, but I'm not going to listen to that anymore. And that's all. And the attorney as well. Nobody should be screaming at anybody or acting that way. And I will make the most of what I can control and make a change if I have to. If I had a lot of people around me in a very contentious state, and that was their way of being all day long, I wouldn't be able to take it. Most humans can't. So that may mean it's time for a change. And that's what I mean when I tell veteran paralegals in a video that you'll hear me say, you'll find people online who are complaining about their career all the time. Well, that's kind of an indication that they need to change law firms or change careers altogether if they're that unhappy. But sometimes we can be afraid of that change. All right, so I hope this was helpful to you today by giving you some examples of things that I've been through. And in other workplaces, you may have been through things like this as well. But we have some rock solid ways to handle it that is that can have a very good outcome by just a simple act of love and kindness. All right, so have a great day. I'll talk to you in the next video. All right, take care. Bye.